welcome back, everyone, to our 12th episode. So remember, I threw out that thing about, if you could make it past 10, then you were doing better than 74%. We don't know if that's true, but hey, we're on number 12.
Yeah.
So I'm Nancy Wallace-Lobbs. You're here at the Money Makin Mamas podcast, and I'm joined by my beautiful daughter and co-host,
Kelsey Leka.
So Kelsey, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, it's spring now.
It is. And I don't know about other people in the States or wherever you're listening to, but Dallas already warmed up.
I know. Well, Phoenix, as they're saying that they're breaking 9 records in the last day or two because it's so hot there. It's already over.
That doesn't make me feel good because we're supposed to go there in a couple weeks.
Yeah, you know how Phoenix, because we used to live there. So Phoenix was February, March was really nice. And yeah, it's global warming, I think.
Oh,
I'm not
I
sure.
didn't know that.
Yeah, they said it was breaking. Yeah, the map on the weather channel or whatever was all red, the southern part of
God.
So maybe it'll be
here. I was April will be perfect time to go because it'll be nicer weather.
And they're having a huge snowstorm as we speak too up north somewhere, so it's just some crazy weather. And so yes, Dallas, because we actually were out of town last week at the lake and we couldn't even go boating because it was so windy and cold. The sun was nice, but it was so windy and the wind had a bite to it. So yeah,
I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but I feel maybe it's the older I get, the more aware I am of the world, right? And so each year I'm I don't remember it being this windy before. I don't remember it being this rainy before. And seriously, the winds that we have had have been they've been crazy.
Well, they were on a small lake. They were doing whitecaps.
Yeah,
they were doing whitecaps. So yeah, it was crazy. Well, yeah, so it's been kind of a crazy, and then I think also we both suffer from allergies.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of, I've been sick. I know your little girl. Oh my gosh, little Toby was sick.
Yeah, that was wild. So Toby yesterday, just out of the blue, I think just allergies last week and kind of being snotty and whatnot. I would have never guessed this, but she had 102 fever, and of course I'm looking up, and I hate going into urgent care. I hate going to care now, but in those moments I will. And I'm looking it up, and it's 102, go to the doctor. And I was oh, okay. So because before that she was skirting 100, and yeah, it turns out she has an ear infection from that being snotty. So it's fine. I'm happy because we got it so early, and even Zach and I were talking about it last night. Apparently she doesn't have the actual, it's just inflamed right now, but it's going to lead to an infection. So it's this super early. And could you imagine if we were flying?
Oh,
and she would be in awful. So much pain. And then
think about all the people around you.
They would not like us. So,
I mean, you couldn't help it, but know, let's be real. We've all experienced little babies crying on a plane, and it's not pleasant.
Yeah. No, but it was good to get away from, just kind of have a different, even though we didn't do much, I know we didn't go on the lake or anything, but it was just kind of fun.
Yeah, because we just unplugged. I mean, really, we didn't do a lot of social media, anything. And so we're going to talk, that's actually going to be one of our episodes that we're going to talk about is how you, when you're an entrepreneur or trying to do a side hustle, you need to take that time to recharge your batteries because everybody kind of, but that's another episode, another time. So, so what are we talking about today?
So, I was editing the 11th episode, and for those that listen, thank you so much. And if you didn't, go back and listen because we talked about, some good stuff about your home and just what we can do and things like that. But I was editing it, and we're talking about contractors, and I feel contractors is such a not taboo word, but it's just I'm
gonna call them nebulous.
Do you feel it comes PTSD comes up? So I was well, there's some you talked about maybe for 10 minutes, and so I thought maybe it would be a good episode to maybe not the whole episode, but just a little topic to really go into and maybe tell some stories.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do good, bad, and ugly because I have used a lot of contractors over the years because I had a property management company, right?
Yeah.
And my motto is every contractor has a shelf life. And I think the biggest thing is that when you get a really good contractor and they're working for themselves, and then, they might not have the business savvy when they get, because they get, you refer them out because they're so good.
Right.
But they lack the ability to scale, or maybe manage people or whatever it is, and something happens. Like, so, we're going to talk about stories, because even though you're new into investing, even on your personal home, you've had some kind of wild stories around home warranties and contractors and things like that. So I think we should talk about home warranties. So any of my friends out there that do home warranties, it's not a slam, but they're...
same with contractors too, because I have like some good friends that are contractors. And,
yes.
And like, this isn't like, oh, contractors equals negative, but no, it's just kind of the things to be aware of, because some of the things that you've gone through, I'm almost thankful because I now know what to watch out for.
Yes. And I have learned a few things, and I think, really, I didn't really have a whole lot of problems till COVID. And that just seemed to be, because I think a lot of people were doing remodels.
Yeah.
And, if you were flipping houses, and I think Katrina was in there. Was it Katrina that happened in Houston? Because whenever
you
there's
Harvey.
Was it Harvey?
Katrina was like years
and years that was
in
Louisiana.
Ago.
In New Orleans, right?
Yeah. But that was like way long ago.
But the point being, whenever there's a big disaster like that, like we're in Dallas and Houston's only like 3 hours away.
I am curious really quick if Harvey did happen during COVID.
Okay, let's see.
Because that would be interesting, like that stuff. Hurricane Harvey. And I know that there's other ones too. August 2017.
Okay, so a few years ago. So about... okay, so it's longer than I thought.
Yeah, so it was not during COVID.
Okay,
they
not
all
during
just kind
COVID.
of meshed together, but there has been like some,
Yeah, so the point being is that when there's a big disaster, like even North Carolina, the fires, I mean, the contractors go where the work is. And and in that case, there's lots and lots of work, unfortunately, for people. And everybody's scrambling to get the best contractor that works the fastest. That, I just helped a realtor friend of mine. She helped a client and she referred someone. So my realtor friend, referred her vendor that she knew from a networking group and to her client. $80,000 later, and they're having to sue the contractor. So in Texas, and I think it might be this way everywhere, but it's not a regulated industry. So I could go and pay, maybe $40, $50 and go get an LLC or, maybe a little bit more. And I can open up, a foundation company, and I can then go around and, do foundations and do terrible work and, say I have a warranty, but then I don't, and I go out of business, and, the homeowner or the investor's stuck.
Yeah.
So I've been sued and I've sued. But I've had good, in all the years, so it's almost 20 years now. I have had good contractors.
Yeah.
It just sometimes when you put your trust in them, I remember I had one, it was a father-son, and they always did a really good job, so dependable.
Yeah.
And then the dad started drinking, and I knew he must have started having a drinking problem, because he started, I would go to the job site, we were flipping a house, and there was beer cans everywhere. Now, I don't, begrudge anybody having some, a couple beers after work or whatever. But number one, don't leave them on my job site. Put them in the trash can. And then you could just tell the quality of his work was going down. And then the son decided that, because they had made some money, so he decided to open a restaurant. He had
I know exactly who you're talking about.
And they had no restaurant background. So then the dad was doing construction at the commercial site that they had, and we went to their grand opening. Remember, we went to the grand opening, and I don't even think they stayed open 6 months. So in the meantime, then they stopped doing as much work, or their work wasn't as good because they were trying to balance it all. And what happened was, in that particular case, they were working on 2 different houses for me. And remember, these are guys I've known for years. I mean, I probably used them for 8-9 years. And I sent them out to a house to paint the wood on the brick house. And I said, okay, I want it this color, Home Depot color, whatever. And then it was a Friday, and they were finishing up. So I went ahead and paid them, because they'd always done, I never had any reason not to trust them. And I was going to the property the next day. So thankfully, I went to the property, and I wanted them to paint the wood fascia white, and they painted it gray. I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
And it just completely clashed with the brick. So anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, I've already paid them for this. And if you learn anything, once you've paid a contractor, it's really hard to A, get your money back, and B, it's really hard for them to go back and do the job when they know they're not going to get paid. So fortunately, the bank that I wrote the check on was still open. So I called them. I put a stop pay on the check because I was like, okay, no. And I was able to do that. So then what happened was the dad who had the drinking problem went to the district attorney of Dallas, and I got a call from the district attorney's office, and he was pressing charges against me for theft of, I don't remember what they called it, but basically he did the work and I didn't pay him is what it was. But it was the stop. It was the, he couldn't cash the check. So I actually got a call from the district attorney's office, and I explained, I was like, hey, this is what happened. I have pictures. I have text. And he goes, oh, okay. He goes, well, I did notice that you had been using them for a long time. I go, well, that's what happened. And so the way it was resolved is I said, I will pay them for the work, because both houses were on the same check. Right. I said, I will pay them for the work that they did on the other house, but I'm not paying them for the other one. Right. And so I said, I'd be happy to write a check tomorrow, whatever. So they actually came to the house the next day, or I met them the next day, and I had them sign a release of lien. Right. So that means that they couldn't come back on me. It just says that I've paid them everything that I owed them. Right. And they can't say, oh, well, she didn't pay me for this other work. So that's really important to always, when you use contractors, especially if you're flipping houses, get a release of lien. So,
yeah. So I know one tip that you have told me before is, to not use the same contractor for like the whole entire house. So and also to more than one project. So is that kind of where you learned that lesson?
Yes, I kind of got dependent on them because, I could just call them up or text them, and it was super easy for me. And probably, because I didn't keep my eye on the ball the whole time. Probably other things might have slipped through, but yeah.
Because that trust was built.
Yeah, I really tried. And they were really, actually the way I found them was another contractor was completely taking advantage of them and not paying them. So they actually came and talked to me. This is while I started the property management. And so I was like, well, hey, I don't mind hiring you directly. Yeah. Because sometimes that's easier than hiring a contractor, and then the contractor hires subs and all of that, subcontractors. Yeah. So that's how our relationship started. And they were looking to build their business, which they did. They got quite a bit of referral business from us. And, but again, it was one of those things that they got, I'm just going to say, too big for their britches.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when they went into the restaurant business, that just took their whole focus off of, they were really good at, handyman, painting, fixing things. And, restaurant, that's just a whole different skill set. Yeah. And I wish them well, but, when you set out to do a new thing, you got to do your research, because we went there and the food was it was different, different in a way that I'm not saying because I'm picky. I'm just saying it was like seafood Mexican or something. It wasn't like your regular Mexican restaurant kind of thing. It was, I don't know, it was just a different vibe. Jamaican. That's what it was. It was kind of Jamaican.
It was not.
What was it?
I don't know. We're not going down this path. Okay. If they want to do that,
but anyway, they did it. But that just took their focus off of what they were doing, right?
So was that that's not your most negative story?
No, I had
okay, let's not
let's talk about more positive, right? Yes. Because I did flip a lot of houses with the help of contractors. So I think one of the advantages of when you learn how to paint or tile or you're in there, what quality of work to expect, right? So that's good. And so I think, I did tell the story about how I learned how to tile.
Yep, you did.
And, but I think that the crew that I had at the time, they were like, dang, she gets down and she'll do it and everything. So,
so I guess also too, you just got to take into consideration what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, kind of thing. And, there's so much information out there that I do think everything you can learn how to do it. It's just how well do you want it to be done, which is what we talked about kind of, painting last episode. We talked about or I remember the baseboards, because, Zach and Brian tried to do our baseboards, and then we had the flood happen, and then professionals did it, and you could just like tell the difference. So, and same with a couple other things too. You can just really tell. So you got to figure out where you want to spend your money.
Choose. Exactly. Like so always like for electrical, I like to get like a certified, licensed, bonded, sometimes when you're with a handyman, you don't, I mean, those guys sometimes don't have insurance, because they're a handyman, and you're going to kind of pay for the level of service. Right. But if it's a big job, I always make sure like the foundation, electrical, those guys are licensed and bonded so that if something happens and they've been in business for a while, and because, like when we have hailstorms, one of the things that happens is we have knocks on the doors. I don't know if I'm sure this happens everywhere where we have roofers and you don't know who they are. They're pulling up in a, beat up Volkswagen or whatever. And they're knocking on your door saying, free a roof inspection or whatever. So I think you have to kind of be careful about, especially if you've not done it before. Like all homeowners or even renters need vendors from time to time. Yeah. Right.
And I know like it's hard because myself, I feel like I like Google like a contractor, but you don't want like, typically you don't want the first one that comes up, or, kind of there's a hesitancy. Why can't I say that word today?
You're hesitant.
Yeah. But I feel like the best way to find contractors is through word of mouth and, oh, hey, I had this person do this job and it turned out really well, like, passing their information along. So how have you found your best contractors?
So, because it depends on the location. Because sometimes when you're in a smaller location, like a smaller town or whatever, I've seen guys at Walmart, and they'll have a trailer with, handyman services and a phone number. I've called them and had them come out and quote, so I found them that way. I used to a long time ago, I used Thumbtack. And then I got so over it because you put in, okay, I need somebody to, I don't know, put in light bulbs or whatever. Yeah. And then you would have 15 people calling you. So I didn't like that. But they must have changed something about it because I did try them. And I've hired people off of Thumbtack. So I kind of like that. I
will say the painter that we got for our house, amazing guy. And we found him on Thumbtack.
And then another place, Angie's List. I think she calls it something else now. And then, I should remember this guy because he's in the chamber with us, but he's got a company similar to that where, they've already vetted them and they have they have a guarantee like up to $10,000 if they mess up or something. So I think that's good. Word of mouth. And then what else? Facebook. Because I'll go in, because we talked about this, like we're just going to kind of go off here about hairstylists, right? Yeah. And so when I was looking for a new hairstylist, I hope you like my hair, but I went to Facebook, like to certain groups, like so we're part of some moms group, and I went to the search and I just typed hairstylist. Yeah. And then some people, they would say, oh, I'm a hairstylist, but what I was looking for were the comments where people said, oh, I recommend, Sally or Rhonda or whoever. So I've done that with plumbers, electricians. So I'll go into my maybe real estate investors or my Airbnb Facebook groups, and I'll just type in plumbers,
and it's not necessarily the people that are saying, hey, I'm a plumber, I can do this for you. Yes. It's more of the people that are saying, hey, I'm looking for a plumber, and the people that respond. Yes. Yeah. And then
so I get a lot of referrals. I get a lot of good. I mean, not very many people will say, oh, don't use so and so. I mean, sometimes they do, but usually that you don't find that. You find like, oh, I've used, and then when I see that the same plumber has been mentioned 2 or 3 times, like, oh, or I second so and so, then I go by that. So in Dallas, you have more of a, Dallas, Frisco, Plano, we have a lot of plumbers, electricians, a lot of vendors, but in smaller towns like Granbury, you don't have as many. There might be, I'm trying to think. I think there's maybe a half a dozen plumbers. Now there's surrounding areas. Right. So we found a couple good ones down there. And then the other thing is, up here we don't need them, but septic vendors, for septic tanks and whatnot. So I guess it just depends on where your property is and what you need done.
So obviously I don't want to trash on contractors this whole episode, because that was not the idea of it. The idea was to give best tips, practices from what you and I have experienced. So what has been your best contractor experience that you can think of? One of the best, because obviously you've had multiple.
Yeah, I've had multiple, but one of the best ones is we were referred this. He actually was a part-time electrician who was a firefighter. Oh my gosh, he was the best electrician ever. And at our lake house, in one of our lake houses, he came through because it's older and it's got like, it's so old. The electrical panel is inside the house, and we wanted lights outside or what. And he did all the ceiling fans. He was nice, and he actually made because one of the things we wanted to do is outdoor lighting at a short-term rental is so nice. It just makes it. And so he actually recommended how we could do it because we had a lot of trees. We're like, okay, well, and he came out there and he gave us all kinds of ideas and everything. So the best contractors are that they actually have vision.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have a plumber, they're going to install a toilet, but I've also had, same house, we had a plumber come out and we were like, okay, what are we going to do with this bathroom? Because it was just, the shape of it was weird.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, let's take this. And who knew they had Fat Boy water heaters? They go under your house. They're 50-gallon. And if you have a pier and beam house, it actually fit under our house.
Oh, nice.
And that, because the water heater was in the closet of the bathroom. So I was like, oh, that's really good. So I was very pleased with both of those.
Yeah.
Because they had vision. And I think that's the best, the contractor, that they'll come out.
Right. And then, like, you can tell that they clearly, like, it might not be their passion, or if it is, it is, but like, it's not just another job. You know what I mean?
You had a similar experience when you had your house flood, and then you had to renovate your kitchen, and you worked with a pretty good guy. So why don't you tell them about how that worked out?
Yeah. So at the house that we lived in previously to the one we're in now, I remember just one morning Zach came in and his whole like right knee was wet. And I was like, what in the world? And he had kneeled down. So we had a 3-2 and it was like kind of a long hallway shaped in an L. And the master was but primary was at the, end of the hall. And then we had a secondary bedroom right before it. But I guess it wasn't water. It wasn't a water heater. Anyways, regardless, he had kneeled down on the carpet and it just immediately soaked through. And then the more we kept walking on it, the more and more it was soaked.
You had a slab leak, right?
Yeah.
Underneath the concrete.
The area that we lived in, and this is, I don't know if we had known this like prior to buying the house. I'm not saying that this would have changed anything, but essentially what happened was the area that we bought in, copper piping rubbing against that cement, and then just over time it had broke, but because we were on a concrete slab, it was awful. So anyways, our whole entire house flooded. I mean, it wasn't a huge house or anything, but it was enough. And we ended up getting all new carpet in every single room and all new laminate flooring. But the issue with all of that is just, it was a huge mess, because then come to find out because of that, we had mold in the duct ceiling and stuff like that. And we had these AC issues. And I mean, it was just it was domino effect 100%. So anyways, my thing with contractors is getting multiple quotes and like how important that is, because one guy told us we had to replace our whole entire duct system. It was $15,000. Another guy told us that we had to like replace our unit. Another guy, I mean, I don't even know all the stories, but it was like 3 different stories. You know what I mean? And I think that's just so important. And so through that whole entire process, we got from each of the vendors that we dealt with, we got like 2 to 3 quotes. And that's how we do it moving forward now. Mm-hmm. It's just to know that like pricing up ahead.
That pricing. And, it makes a difference if they think insurance is paying for it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, insurance doesn't pay everything that they want to pay. Right. So,
well, and I will just shout out, because the adjuster that we got, so we had home warranty, which like I do have a question about that in a little bit, but we had, our home warranty and all this stuff. And the adjuster that we used, like, you want someone that's going to like have your back, not the insurance.
Should we give him a shout out?
We should give him a shout out, because he's amazing.
He is amazing. Mm-hmm. And I've used him multiple properties. So
yeah, and we've used him like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, Ryan Lancon. Ryan, I'm going to tag you on this. So, but yeah, I can't remember the name of his company. I think it's First Adjusters or something like that. But if you need a good public, oh my gosh, because he'll work with the insurance company.
Yeah.
And he'll get you he'll get you what you deserve to get your house fixed.
And he's just so straightforward and personable. Like Zach and I, Zach worked with him more than I did, but just the things that just conversations that they had, it was just good. So yeah, definitely shout out to Ryan.
Ryan.
We'll leave his information below for our Dallas
yeah,
people.
we will. Well, he goes all over now, so he's he's an investor too. So yeah, he's a great guy. Okay, well, what's your question about home warranties?
Oh, I was going to ask, so on long-term rental properties, so, you have the option to have home warranty. And I know for us, we kind of just, because there's been so many situations where it didn't help us, on long-term rental properties that you're renting out to families, should you have home warranty?
So I'm not a big, I only get a home warranty when I'm buying a house and the seller is paying for it. So I just get it for the first year. I don't renew them because I have found that they don't, it's super hard to work with them. So I'm just going to mention in the property management realm, we had owners that would want them, but the timeline, so, Texas heat, it's hot, your AC goes out, and you've had this happen twice with a home warranty company. They don't come right out.
Yep.
They won't fix it the first time, and they try to nickel and dime you. So it's usually $75 to $100 just to have them come out and tell you it doesn't work. I mean, you already know that.
Yeah.
And then it's always a part. It's very hard to get them to replace a system. Now, in your house that you were talking about, after, I'm saying weeks, if not months, they finally did replace the system.
Well,
the outdoors.
And then even last year, and I had to get your help on it, because if there's one thing that the apple did not fall far from, is you are very you're gonna get it done regardless, where I'm very much I don't want to crack too many eggshells. I'll still speak up, but we're opposite in that way. But last year we had home warranty, and and I think a lot of Texas, Arizona, that heat dome that came around during the summertime, our AC went out, and we have two littles in my son's room. So my daughter's room is kind of where we have one unit for a 2-story house, which makes no sense. But the thermostat for the upstairs is up in Toby's room, and so typically that room definitely gets warmer faster. It just I don't know the science of everything. But then also Bear's room is right next to attic, so both of their rooms, it got up to 85, 80, which 2 littles, that's concerning. And that was awful, that whole experience, because they were oh, it's a part, and then the part didn't come until whatever, and blah 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 blah,
and then it was a part,
and then we still had to pay a good chunk of change.
Right. So then with the home warranty, where I got involved is because I've worked with them so many times, and if you have a local rep with your home warranty, then you almost have to reach out to them for something like this. This particular home warranty didn't have a local rep. So what we ended up having to do, and you have to document. So I'm just going to say, because we were trying to get them. So if you end up replacing something large, because what happened was the vendor was going to charge $6,000, but we found a vendor that would do it for $3,000, and the home warranty was only going to pay $1,500. Not even. That's right, $1,000 or something.
It was crazy.
So the only way to get any money from the home warranty company is, number one, you have to document everything, even when you talk to them, because I had to call multiple times, and it still took, I would say, a good 6 to 7 months to get a check from them. After the fact, after you already paid out of pocket. So you paid $3,000 or $4,000, and you were waiting months for $1,000 check from the home warranty. So
it's crazy. And I will say, I know we're talking about vendors now, but I will say for somewhere like our area too, we just ended up, because we have had consistently every single seasonal change from summer to winter, winter to summer, all that, those drastic temperature changes, our AC and our heat has had something wrong with it. And so we finally just said that we, instead of paying it ended up saving us a couple dollars, but we ended up doing a
maintenance plan.
Yeah, but membership kind of situation with a company that we really liked. They came out, they helped us, and again, I like it when they're just straightforward. It's you can just tell. And that's another thing too. If you feel something is just a little question it, because we question I mean, that one AC issue, we questioned them like 3 or 4 times. But anyways, this guy that came out was very straightforward with us, was very like, you just tell, you know? And so we were like, okay, like, he helped us out. He got us, you know, all this stuff. So anyways, we ended up investing in doing like a membership situation. And now it's kind of nice because they do come out every 6 months. They service it. And then if anything does happen, it's like 24/7. So if you are one of those people out there that have like run into a lot of AC heater issues like us, which it's been consistent every single year, twice a year. We just recently got on this plan with these people and it's been better already.
So I think that's the thing too. If you feel it's off, like I go by my gut.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, and if they try to explain something to me that, you know, is like, okay, it can't be that complicated.
Right.
If I feel like I can't understand it, then I feel like maybe they're not being, honest.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, or they're trying to get more money, and you do have to even, you know, because I know a couple summers ago, our AC, like we have these outdoor units. Mm-hmm. So like if people don't know, like some of the houses in Texas, we have outdoor units that go out and we have indoor units that go out. So like a whole system might cost like, I don't know, $10,000, but each outside, inside, I think, you know, last year or a couple of years ago, we paid like $7,500. And then it was pretty funny though. This AC company they came out and our upstairs unit, because every summer is like, okay, why is it so hot, right? Yeah. And sometimes when it's like 100+ degrees in Texas, right, you just, you know, it's not even a grid thing. It's just like your system can't even keep up. But anyway, they came out, and I wish I would have kept. And I probably have this picture somewhere, but it was a block of ice because the thing had just frozen up. I'm like, okay, how does that happen?
Right.
Because it's in the attic.
Right.
And so we were laughing because it was pretty funny. He's like, oh, and he's like, yeah, this is your problem. It's not working because there's and it literally, I mean, I was probably like, I don't know, 2 feet by 2 feet.
And this was in the middle of summer?
Yeah. Just froze up. Like you could go up there and chip it and put it in some daiquiris or some margaritas or something. Anyway, so he's like, yeah. And so they couldn't do anything because they had to let it thaw out. And it took like a couple days. So we had to went
in the middle of summer.
In the middle of summer. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So it froze up because I guess there's like condensation and, you know, but it was in the attic, which is really hot anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And then they couldn't fix it. Now, luckily, it was the upstairs, because we have a downstairs and upstairs unit. But you guys had to actually come and stay with us because it was so hot in your house. Because you were out.
We had to come stay with you multiple times because of our house situation.
Flooding, you know, no heat. But we're always glad to have it.
Moving.
Moving. So anyway, let's talk about moving vendors because.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to say if you're moving cross country or down the street.
What do you pay for? What do you don't pay for?
Yeah. And do you need to get their insurance? Or, I mean, I think that's one racket, you know, and I've moved a few times. So one time I moved from Arizona to California and I had the company pay for it. Right. So I didn't really pay attention because they were paying for it. But then when I had to move back, oh my gosh. And so.
And then when we moved from Arizona to Dallas, didn't something happen with the TV?
Yeah, and then they wanted, because remember we had one of those before they had like flat screens. We had the big screen. We had that big, I don't know, console TV or whatever. I don't even know what they call those things. Do they even make those anymore?
No.
But yeah, they scratched it and they literally want to pay like, I don't know, 63 cents or something. It was crazy. But I remember when we did move from Phoenix to Dallas, I was like, because I already had the California experience behind me. And so I was like, oh my gosh. Because they'll quote you a price. Yeah. And then they get to the end of the job and they're like, oh, because they got your stuff. Yeah. They got your stuff. And so you're kind of held hostage.
Oh my gosh. I heard about this one. They're I don't know all the details of it, but I think that they're kind of like a famous couple or something like that. But they had all of their stuff like stolen, like from move. Which that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it happens. And you get there. So yeah. So I got a quote for like $5,000. You know, I was like, okay. And I made them like write it down. Cause what happens is they weigh it. Now on these big trucks. So they might have 2 or 3 houses of different people's furniture. You know, it's not just our stuff on that truck. It's other people's too. And I'm like, well, how do you, okay, why can't you measure it, when you load it? But they give you an estimate. They come and they give you an estimate, and then they don't know what the final price is until they go, weigh it. And that's where people get stuck, because they might say, oh, it's going to be like $5,000, and then, oh, it's $8,000. And if you don't pay them, and here's another lesson I learned about moving companies. So, it was hot, because it was like August when we moved here, right? It was hot.
Yeah.
So I was giving the guys breaks. Okay, well, I didn't know that part of, so I was like, oh, take a break. I'd give them water, whatever. And they were happy to take the break. So they were on some kind of minute clock, right? And so it was going into overtime, because they called and said, okay, well, you owe us like blah, blah, blah. I was like, why is that? And it was because they had the breaks. And I was like,
gave them.
that I gave them. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be nice to the vendors anymore,
No lemonade for you.
Yeah, no lemonade for you. So, because I think I did even get like cookies and stuff. I was, I'm always nice, because when they're handling your stuff, you want to be nice.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're, and so then they got mad. And the last two pieces of furniture they had to move out was our refrigerator, and they literally just drug it through through the garage. I'm through the yard. Like there were tracks, like, because they were mad. So, yeah, that is the thing. When they're handling your stuff, when the vendor is in your house, you can't really get an attitude.
Yeah.
Until they're out, because you don't know.
Yeah.
Now I've never had any, like go off on me or anything like that. Just, but movers, you just kind of have to be careful.
Well, I'm going to shout out them, Firehouse Movers, Dallas based. They're with us in the chamber, but they moved our house 5 minutes down the road for us, but they were amazing.
They were good.
They were
really
so good. Because, I don't have a lot of moving experience. We've just moved from the apartment to the colony house, and then to now where we live. And I'm trying to think, the colony house, we just found two guys on, maybe Thumbtack or something like that, and they were so nice. And I think we hired them for like 30, and we were moving from an apartment to a house, so we didn't have a lot to begin with. But I remember we had like a washer and dryer, and like obviously our bed, but like kind of heavier stuff. And they were amazing. They were so nice.
Yeah, and I've hired guys just like, high school guys, just if you just need some heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So think about, again, you could use Nextdoor or Facebook, or if you know somebody that's got some strapping young men and they could just come over, and you need a couch moved upstairs or moved downstairs. So.
Do you want to know? I don't know if I think we've told you, but so we order something from like Nebraska or like a furniture store, we don't pay the delivery, there's the option where they just drop it off in the driveway versus bringing it in, and I think it's like a $99 difference or something like that. So we've multiple times when we've ordered from Nebraska, we don't pay that fee, and normally when the guys get there, Zach will be like, hey, I'll give you $20 if you just bring it right inside.
Okay, if you're listening, so now we always have to pay for that.
But if you're at Nebraska, don't
yeah, so
mark us for that.
I'm trying to think, like, well, we just had to, my washer dryer just went out, and so I do my washer. Okay, I'm gonna, like, this is like a vendor kind of thing too. So our washer dryer is, I think it's Kenmore, I'm not sure. Very nice. They were very high end when we bought them 20 years ago. Like, they're 19 years old. So the other night, I was doing some laundry, and I've been having problems with the spin, right? And anyway, I put it on like express wash, which is like 35 minutes, so it shouldn't have gone anywhere. And I'm putting because the kids were spending the night, I'm putting Bear to bed, and I had put it on earlier, and so like I go up there, and it's like 2-3 hours later, and it's just constantly getting water and draining, water draining. So I went to hit the shut off, the pause.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then I went to power, nothing. Like, the water is still coming. Well, at this point, the tub is starting to fill up. So then I told my husband, I said, hey, can you go shut off the breaker? Because the washing machine's not shutting off. So he goes out and does the breaker. The water still keeps pumping in. I'm like, crazy. Oh my gosh. So I quickly Googled it, because, oh my gosh, what if I had, our washer is upstairs, just for reference.
Yeah.
So if I just said, I'll let it go.
Disaster.
It would have just overflowed, right? Anyway, so I looked it up, I Googled it, and it said that it's more than likely the water inlet valve or something. I don't know. The part itself is $65, but the labor is anywhere from $300 to $400. Now, we've already fixed that washer that probably cost $800, 19 years ago, twice at the tune of like $350, $400. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to buy. We have to go get them. Yeah. So then I went online because I just had to replace my dishwasher because all of our appliances by the same time. Anyway, long story short, I researched it, and so we did the Nebraska. I do like Nebraska.
I do too.
And so, but we have to do not only the delivery, but the installation and then haul away. But here's a little tip for you. They always have sales, and and they have coupons for free delivery or free installation. So just, here's my tip on that.
Do you want to know the whole thing that I've been thinking about, like that's been running in my brain ever since you brought up the move from Phoenix to Dallas? Can you guess what I'm about to say?
Probably that we looked like the Beverly Hillbillies leaving town.
Literally, like in the truck, motorcycle in the back.
Now we have to say what kind of truck because it wasn't like a big F-150. It was a Tacoma, Toyota is the type. So this is a smaller pickup truck.
With a motorcycle in the back and like the shop vac, the coolers, like just everything that you could think of random, and then a big old blue tarp just thrown.
Because we were moving and our furniture, we knew we were going to get to the house on a Saturday.
And we stopped like halfway.
Yeah. So.
Well, and then do you remember when Buddy fell out?
Yes. So Kelsey had a special friend, a little bear called Buddy, and I don't even know why.
Why did we do this?
Instead of putting him in the cab with us and her in the back seat, we put it in a cooler. Put Buddy in the cooler. And Buddy is like about, I don't know, maybe 15 inches tall, and he had suspenders and glasses. So the next thing we know, somebody's pulling up. We're down the freeway.
We're not even on the freeway. We're on that. Like, if you've driven from Arizona to, like, New Mexico, like, it's just, like, desert.
Yes.
Like, it's just, like, the 2 straight lanes, and it's just, like, desert. So, go ahead.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
There's no,
like, so, anyway, long story short, a car pulls up, and he's, like, telling Brian
he's honking.
And Brian rolls the windows down. He goes, oh, hey, you're cooler, like, And so Brian and I looked at each other, and then I turned around and looked at Kelsey, and she had these big saucer, like, puppy dog. I was like, oh, my gosh, we have to go back and get her.
I started crying, right?
Because Buddy was in there. So we literally turned around and went and got Buddy. And Buddy...
Hey, shout out to Coleman.
Oh, yes. Coleman. Yeah. And it was and it wasn't even one of the big coolers. It was just
like little blue. Is it the one we still have?
Yeah, we still have that cooler. Yeah. Shout out to Coleman, because not only did that thing not break, Buddy was intact. And to this day, we moved here in 2005. And to this day, we still use that cooler.
It's just the episode of shout outs.
Yeah.
So Coleman, Firehouse Movers, and Ryan.
Yeah.
We'll leave all of it below. Minus Coleman. If you don't know what Coleman is.
Maybe they'll send us a free cooler if we tag them.
Oh my gosh, we should.
I wonder if they would want to do that story. Hey, Coleman, we're always open for coolers.
Money Makin Mamas, sponsored by Coleman.
Yeah. I know we might have to hit Ryan up to give us a first.
Not Yeti, but Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman.
That's how you know your starter business.
Yeah.
Anyways, no. So we've been all over the place this episode. I feel like we started out with contractors, ended on Coleman.
I know, but you know what? Yeah. It's just just like contractors. There is the good. There's the bad. There's the ugly.
Well, really quick, let's end on good, because you kind of told. I don't know if you really told your like negative stories, but let's tell like your best. Have we already told your best?
Yeah, we talked about Wade, the firefighter that was the
Yeah.
And I just, over the years, I have had a lot of good contractors. And, contractors are people and stuff happens. Like we had one guy that he left the job because, his baby got sick. And you can't really be mad at them. Okay, we did pay him, ahead. So I think that's the thing about managing your money and the contractor and, knowing exactly what you're paying for. But, they're people too.
You want to know something as I'm thinking about this? We had, for the life of me, I don't remember, like, because again, it was one of those things that we found on like Thumbtack, but this guy, like, yeah, to kind of not say all contractors are bad, but do you remember this? So we had a lawn guy come out and he was like doing our whole entire yard, like he was tilling it and all this stuff. And we had just put it, so right at the beginning of COVID, just like everyone else, we had chosen a couple of projects that we did for the house. And one of those being replacing our back door with a new sliding glass door. And so like, remember this?
I do.
Okay, so this guy was working on our backyard, and like we were kind of redoing, I mean, we were doing a lot of landscaping, and I think he was tilling it, and you know, the tilling machine like spits up stuff. A little pebble, I mean, I just hear it. So Zach, I'm actually in the bathroom, I think, and Zach is in the living room with Bear, and I just hear, oh my gosh. And I was like, oh no. And so I go back and I just look, and the whole entire back glass door is just shattered. I mean, I just and luckily nothing like had fallen, but it was just like all like crackled, all this stuff. Luckily, again, no glass was actually spilled. And I can't remember if like Zach was the one to like, he didn't tap on the glass, but he like got the guy's attention, and he like looked at it, and immediately like he was on the phone, and he like came to us. He's like, I'm like, obviously he was super sorry. Like, but he took responsibility. Like, I mean, it was a complete accident. It's not like he like planned it, but he completely took responsibility and acted on it like immediately. And the next day we had someone come out, like they fixed it. It was all good. Like we didn't have to lift a finger to it. And like, I just really appreciated it in that moment, because like we didn't give him a hard time. Like we didn't sit there and be like, oh my gosh, like, you know, we again all recognized it was an accident, but he was responsible and like took action, which I really appreciated that.
And you're going to remember that, so you're going to refer him. Because he took responsibility.
Even though I don't remember his name right now, but I'll look it up. Yeah. I do have it, but yes, I actually have referred him, and he actually does. He really well known in the area we used to live in.
Yes.
But anything? Oh, you know, I did have. Okay, so remember we've gotten away from this a little bit, but like the rapid fire questions that we started in the very beginning. Yes. And if anyone like actually has been listening through every episode, but like in the first 2 or 3 episodes we did like rapid fire, and I don't remember if we actually asked this question, so we're just gonna do it again.
Okay.
But would you rather? I don't know what we were talking about, the AC stuff, and this popped in my head. Would you rather live or have to deal with the extreme heat or extreme cold? And I'm not saying like 150 degrees. I'm saying like Arizona temperatures or like Chicago temperatures.
Oh, that's rough, because I don't do well in either one of them. So I'm going to have to go with the Chicago, because you can always put more clothes on, right? You can always, you know, have a fireplace. But if you're like extreme hot, I mean, some people like that, but you I can't sleep if I'm so hot.
Yeah.
So I can't sleep if I got a bunch of blankets on me, but either one is not very ideal.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know what mine would be. I think I would lean towards the cold, but then I'm also like sitting here thinking about like, oh my God, it would be such a nightmare to like get the kids dressed and myself dressed. And
okay, now so that's a stages of life kind of question, because now that I'm older and I've had hot flashes, man, I don't know. I mean, ask anyone that's, you know, gone through that. So I would definitely do the cold, because you know, some days I have to stick my head in the freezer. So I think if you're, but the children, you know, you would have to make sure that they didn't get, so.
But then also too, like living in the hot, we could go swimming all the time. But then again, there is a point where I think pool waters get too hot. Like it's like gross bath water.
And if it's that hot for that long, there's not going to be any water. At least
the
snow.
I'm not saying live in extreme temperatures to like
ask. I'm thinking
I could evaporate the pool.
You could melt the snow and so okay, all right.
That was the only rapid fire, I guess, question that I had.
Okay.
And I don't even know if that could be considered rapid fire.
Yeah, I don't think that was. So,
well, should we end here?
I think we should just end here. So, okay, what does everybody need to do?
So, if you hopefully stuck around and listened to this episode and our other ones, if you haven't, we have a couple other ones about like self-directed IRAs, short-term rentals. Go back and listen to those. If you have been here, we really, really, really appreciate you. And we look forward to our next episodes. We're going to talk about networking, success at the top. And then we're eventually, I know we mentioned it last time or maybe a couple episodes, we are going to have guests. We just got to figure out our mic situation.
But also,
but people can follow us. If you like this episode, send it to someone that maybe they're going to be redoing something of their house, or they maybe need to look into contractors, and hopefully it was helpful. And as always, like, reach out to us and ask questions. But follow us on all the socials, subscribe to our channel. Any little bit really helps us. We're just trying to grow. And
if you know anybody that can send us a Coleman,
yeah, we're going to tag them.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. Well, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. And Kelsey, I love you. And I'll see you next time.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.